Our friends at My Patriot Supply are America's #1 preparedness company, and they are well stocked with the food your family may soon need. Other companies have run out of almost everything they sell because they didn't prepare for what the world is going through now. But My Patriot Supply walks the walk. You can trust this company, and right now you can save $100 on their 3-month emergency food kit.
Well, good evening. You know, Bill, from the trucker convoys that we have going on, from the demonstrations in front of the Canadian Embassy in New York City, and all of this, I think that the lockdowns, the masks, the mandates have awakened a sleeping giant, because just yesterday, 3 school board members from San Francisco were recalled in a recall vote. And I'm just astounded at that. First of all 3 of these school board members were recalled with a better than 70% vote of the public. That is amazing. But what it tells me is that Loudoun County taught people something. It taught parents how to stand up and speak out for themselves and their children, and that they can have an effect on what happens in their children's schools. I'm just loving this.
Yeah, it's so strange that Loudoun County has led the United States in anything at this point. They had gone from a rural farming community, heavily Republican, in just about a decade, to a county, the politics of which was completely dominated by the teachers union, and any political candidate who wanted to run for office had to figure out a strategy that whatever they were going to espouse would not offend the teachers. That was strategy #1 for the last 20 years. And now maybe that has finally been broken, because these parents just finally got fed up with the excesses and did something about it, stood up, and it caused something to happen. That's a wonderful thing.
It is a wonderful thing. And I believe this is Nancy Pelosi's district. But one of the things that they enforce the lockdowns, they enforce the mask wearing and all of this other stuff. And what happened when the kids had to be home for remote learning is parents found out exactly what they were learning and what they were doing in the classrooms. And when this masking issue came out, one of the complaints they had about the school board members in San Francisco was they weren't even addressing the mandates. They weren't addressing the mask wearing. They didn't seem to care about that. They were more concerned with renaming schools. And one of the names they wanted to get rid of was a school that was named for Abraham Lincoln, because they said he was a racist. That's just almost insane. But I am really just excited to see all these changes. As you said, who knew this was going to come from Loudoun County? But that's exactly what happened. Just today, we also have another school board change. Yeah, I'm wondering, Bill, if some of these school board members across the country are getting a little nervous. Pennsylvania school board voted to end, and listen to this word, mandatory streaming of CNN programs. They recognized that the CNN programs were, biased. I mean, I imagine CNN is a little surprised to find out they are biased. But
this is unbelievable. I mean, who would have known, unless you were a teacher in one of these schools, that CNN was mandatory viewing? It's no wonder that the kids are coming out weird.
Well, I want to end the mandatory CNN viewing in airports. That should be the next thing to go. You don't have a choice when you're in the airport. But so what they did was they put in, they ended the mandatory streaming of CNN, but they did say that administrators and teachers could choose to watch programs that pertain to whatever they were teaching. And the examples they gave were, for instance, Veterans Day or December 7th, which is Pearl Harbor Day, that if there was a program on, well, you can only imagine CNN probably doesn't ever even do a program on Veterans Day or Pearl Harbor Day.
Well, you remember that guy that we were friends with when we were doing the edit of The Secret of Oz in Burbank, Jimmy? That was what he was trying to do after he left that other job. He was trying to replace CNN in airports.
Oh, right.
So
I had completely.
Jimmy, here's a hat tip to you. If you're watching this, let us know how you're doing and if this has helped you out, and we'll give you some free publicity.
Yeah. I think all of this stuff is great. I know you do too. And I just want to encourage parents everywhere, to fight for their children. I know sometimes it's hard, especially when your kids are at that age where they say, "Don't embarrass me, Mom. What are you going to say, Mom? What are you going to tell them?" At least my kids were that way. But, I don't think it was as bad when our children were in school. It just seems to have gotten so much worse with the program, with this, what the students are learning, with the propaganda these days.
I just want to say something else about how this is, the whole coup thing is coming apart. And that's, I know from the Nixon years, where what I put in my brain as the main takeaway from that whole thing was that when you oppose a government overreach, let's say, the way it works is that you can oppose it and oppose it and oppose it. And their whole game is to not let you know that you're winning. And so they'll do anything they can to convince anybody that you're not winning. We're not giving an inch, blah, 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 blah. And then all of a sudden, boom, and the whole thing falls apart. And that's exactly what's happened with Loudoun County.
Well, speaking of Loudoun,
people, don't give up.
Speaking of Loudoun County, and the example that we keep using, of course, they have a new governor, Governor Youngkin. And Governor Youngkin signed an order ending mask mandates in schools and making it optional. If you want your child to wear a mask, they can wear a mask. If you don't, they can't. But I just want to watch this short video because, quite honestly, Bill, this had me in tears.
It is my distinct privilege and honor to be able to sign Senate Bill 739 into law in the Commonwealth of Virginia.
Yeah, okay. Well, that was Virginia Governor Youngkin signing the bill into law that ending the mask mandates. And he gives the pen, and this is the part that I'm going to choke up. He gives the pen to a young girl who was suspended from school 9 times as her own personal protest of the mask mandate because she refused to wear a mask. And he said to her, "You deserve this." And this is youth rising up and showing us the way. I applaud that young girl. The Illinois legislature just voted to end that governor's emergency order so that the masks will be taken off of kids in Illinois. And we never thought we would see that happen because I didn't think that governor was ever going to give in. But the legislature got together and said no, and they voted to end his emergency order.
By the end of this month, this will be over.
I hope so. It feels like the momentum is building, that state after state after state, all these things are falling. we attended in our area a school board meeting to support the parents in their fight against the masks. And they didn't win that night, but they have just recently ended the mandates where we are. And, it's, as you said, it's just going to continue. That snowball is going downhill. I think people are waking up, not only waking up here, Bill, but obviously in Canada, but waking up all over the world. Right now, we have people they're referring to it as a global freedom convoy. And I love that, because this is global freedom. But this also flies in the face with the globalists and the New World Order people. And that is that in Israel, 20,000 trucks and family vehicles have taken part in a global freedom convoy in Israel. This is amazing to me. I'm just excited. We mentioned, look at this line of cars and trucks. I mean, 20,000 vehicles. That's a lot of cars. And you can see they drove to Jerusalem. And this is their freedom is important to them. Our freedom is important to us too. Israel, I love to see that they're trying to cancel this emergency. All these countries claimed this emergency law, and the passports. Israel has been really tough on the people. They have more.
Yeah, they're the most vaccinated. They're the most vaccinated country in the world.
Freedom. It is a wonderful thing. It is beautiful to see. And as you said, we are expecting to see more of this. Freedom begets freedom. So,
this whole government overreach, you realize how worldwide it had become, using the vaccine and the masks and the lockdowns just as a way to take more power, assert more power, and prevent people from having access to the course of government more. And so this is really just a wonderful worldwide phenomenon. And that's the Bible verse. You meant it for evil, but God meant it for good. And that's what God wanted. God wanted these people to overreach so that we could see just how nasty they were. And sure enough, look what God hath done now. This is a great thing. And we've got to keep it up, because we could lose it once again. Those people are mad as hornets right now that they've lost their power, and they're going to do everything they can to get it back.
Yeah, and I just want to make one more comment. As I mentioned earlier, there have been people showed up at the Canadian Embassy in New York, and I was watching a video of that, and one of the women made such a great comment when she said, "I was woke, and now I'm awake." And that's exactly what has to happen. You have to go from being woke to being awake. And this is, in my mind, the Great Awakening. And I look forward to see, as you said, this is a God thing. And I look forward to see what happens next. I am excited. But for right now, I'm going to say, I am Beth Still reporting. And that's probably not all I'm going to say about that. Have a good evening.